parliamentary group to review the state of the Kenyan nation and take stock of key developments that are at the center of public conversation in the country. We reviewed the budget cycle and the impact of the Finance Act this far as we approach a new financial year. We looked at the hot issue of the distribution of fake fertilizer to Kenyan farmers by none other than the government of Kenya itself. The status of the several court cases by Azimio against the government, or cases concerning Azimio one way or the other, and the implementation status of the NADCO report. The PG also reflected on the life, times, and contribution of the late General Francis Ogolla, the immediate former Chief of Defense Forces, and his untimely demise. The meeting also deliberated on the economic circumstances Kenyans find themselves in against the backdrop of sponsored state propaganda that seeks to make people believe that the situation has improved and that life is better. Kenyans need to know that as of today, Azimio has over 20 cases against the state that are at various stages in the slow justice system. Some of the cases include the Azimio la Umoja Coalition Party versus the President of Kenya and others. The High Court petition challenging the decision of the President to establish a commission of inquiry, called the Commission of Inquiry into the Shakahola tragedy. There is the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party versus Japheth Koome and two others. It's a High Court petition seeking for the doctrine and principles of command responsibility to be declared applicable and applied to the members of the National Police Service in the process of the discharge of their duties. We also have the Azimio One Kenya Coalition versus Jubilee Party of Kenya and another. It's a High Court petition challenging the decision of the respondent. I think it's against Parliament, and Speaker. Yeah. It's a petition challenging the decision of the respondent in recognizing the interested party, which is Jubilee, as a parliamentary party, while it is still part and parcel of the petitioners' coalition. That's Azimio. There's also the National Assembly and another versus Okia Omtata and others. This is a Court of Appeal matter challenging the housing levy. The matter is set for hearing, and the date is yet to be issued by the court. The other case is that of Kenneth Njagi and others versus Kenya Kwanza Party or Coalition and others. It's a petition challenging the ruling by Honorable Moses Wetangula, the Speaker of the National Assembly, on the question of which is the majority and minority parties in Parliament or in the National Assembly. There is the Guyo Ali Guracha and others versus Hono Abdi Guyo and others. It's a petition challenging the defection of Isiolo County governor and his deputy from Jubilee to the UDA party, whether the governor and his deputy are deemed to have resigned and relinquished their positions as a result of the defection. Finally, we have got Jeremiah Kioni versus the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties and the Jubilee Party and 14 others. It's an appeal from the majority decision of the PPDT, in which PPDT complaint, in which it was upheld that the decision of the Jubilee Party National Disciplinary Tribunal, ratified by the party NEC, ousting the complainant from his position as a Jubilee SG and revoking membership to Jubilee Party. Just to mention but a few, really. Together, these cases provide a clear pattern of the slow pace of the hearing and conclusion of cases, especially where the state is a subject and senior government officials are involved. We are staring at a clear case of justice delayed and justice denied. On the death of General Ogolla, The parliamentary group shared deep condolences with his family and the families of all those who perished together with him. Further, the PG called for a judicial inquest into the accident and death as opposed to mere investigation led by the military that is close to civilians. We also demand that families of the victims be independently represented in the investigation and inquest. I must hasten to add that we have authorized Honorable Anthony Oluoch and Senator Enoch Wamboa to lead a process of establishing a parliamentary inquiry, a joint parliamentary inquiry involving both the Senate and the National Assembly into the unfortunate death of General Ogolla. Already, we are seeing worrying signs. We have noted that Mr. Ruto set up a separate investigation team away from the one gazetted by its Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen in the Gazette notice dated 8th April 2024. On the economic circumstances, the PG takes the position that life remains unbearable for a greater majority of Kenyans, contrary to state-sponsored propaganda. The cost of goods has come down. Kenyans are still struggling to put food on the table, pay school fees, access health care, pay house rent, and even bus fare. Kenyans are indeed worse off today than they were at this time last year and the year before. The PG therefore calls on the government to embark on steps that will drastically lower the cost of basic goods. Kenya Kwanza promised that unga would come down to Kenya shillings 100 or less per kilogram. Immediately the regime assumed power. We need that promise fulfilled. On nearly all these issues, the meeting came to the sad conclusion that as a country, we are dealing with an unprecedented case of corruption in government and state capture by people in and out of government. State capture and corruption are at the center of the problems we are grappling with as a people. From high taxes to low investments to provision of basic services like distribution of fertilizers. Looking at the budget cycle, this meeting was able to establish a clear case of laws being made with the sole aim of benefiting individuals and their businesses at the expense of the economy and the masses. On the case that featured prominently at this meeting, one case that featured prominently at this meeting is that of the Export and Investment Promotion Levy introduced in the Finance Act of 2023. As we warned, together with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, this levy is killing manufacturing in the country by giving preferential treatment to specific businesses whose owners have captured the apparatus of the state and are using it for personal gain in complete disregard of public good. The levy on imported goods like steel and clinker is creating monopolies in steel and cement manufacturing at the expense of the public. Rather than boost local production, the levy is killing the same. It is killing jobs and it is making products like steel and cement extremely expensive. The mindset that gave birth to this levy is similar to the one that saw the government distribute fake fertilizer to our own farmers. These are manifestations of state capture and corruption at their worst. They are part of the problem that is making foreign firms lose out on businesses and contracts in Kenya because the top government officials are involved in corruption, including bribery and open kickbacks. It's becoming very clear that unless firms willing to pay bribes and those with political godfathers high up in government it is becoming very clear that only firms willing to pay bribes and those with political godfathers high up in government will remain and thrive in Kenya, while others close shop or relocate to neighboring countries. This meeting has therefore strongly called on the government to repeal and abolish the Export and Investment Promotion Levy and also crack down on corruption within its ranks. The levy and the corruption that enabled it is making Kenya to lose investment from businesses and countries that do not participate in corrupt activities. Recently, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission listed the ministries of Interior, Health, and Transport as the most corrupt. The survey showed that the size of the average bribe doubled in 2023. This meeting has called on EACC to go beyond releasing surveys and swing into action. We need bold action to make corruption an expensive affair for businesses and public officers. The meeting concluded that the case of fake fertilizer being distributed to farmers by none other than the government of Kenya is an ideal place to begin showcasing our commitment to fighting runaway corruption and state capture as a country. The case of fake fertilizer is, in our view, a case of economic sabotage and must be treated as such. In other words, heads must roll. This is the end of the statement. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, honorable ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I think we can adjourn now. Yes. Honorable members.
Yes.
Wang Jara.